Hello, my name is Henry, and you're listening to the Right on Track podcast.
Greetings one and all, and welcome to the Right on Track podcast episode 69. My name is Tom Denham, one of the three founding hosts of the Right on Track podcast, and we've got a very full episode for you today. First up, our guest hosts Jack and Mark are going to be doing an episode review, and then we'll be hearing an audio story, and then Lachlan and Courtney will be reviewing a very famous steam train from a very famous movie. I'll let you figure that out. But first up, let's hear from Jack and Mark and their Series 8 reviews that they've got in store for us.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for wherever you are in the world, and welcome back to the Right on Track podcast. Unfortunately, the current host couldn't make it today as they are currently indisposed. Just don't ask many questions and don't go deep into that.
No, it's Christmas time and everyone's very busy, but with the temps for this evening.
Yeah, with the unemployed temps of today.
Indeed. Should we introduce ourselves?
Might as well. Hi again. I'm Jack, otherwise known as NWR598 on YouTube, and this is Mark, otherwise known as Cedric Mudshot.
Yes, a very famous, very, very awesome Twitter user.
Yeah.
I go by a few names: Muggy, Mark, Marcello. But
Magic
I guess
Man.
I'm Mark for today. Yeah, I'm a very magic man.
All right.
So, what episodes are you reviewing today, Jack?
Well, apparently the boys on the podcast are reviewing episodes from Series 8, Mark.
Oh, yay! My favorite. It's not.
Yeah,
actually.
you're no. And for today,
It's alright. It's alright.
It's all.
It's not bad.
All right. We have a lot to talk about today.
Oh yeah,
And-
I have a
yeah.
lot to say about these two episodes. The first one I think we're reviewing is Fish and Emily's Adventure.
And not to be mistaken by you the guys at home, not Fish from Series 4, but another episode renamed, titled Fish in
I'd really
Series
love
8.
to meet the guy. I'd love to meet the guy who thought it was a great idea to name an episode with the exact same title as one from like a few seasons ago.
That's all in the past.
They probably didn't even know. Okay, so we're gonna start off with Fish, and I presume in a clip that I'll just be about to play, Thomas arrives at the fishing village to find a big rake of smelly fish trucks.
And when he got to the fishing village, there were lots of trucks, all stacked full of fish. Thomas had never seen so many fish. Phew, he puffed. What a horrible smell. Then Arthur arrived. Arthur warned Thomas that the route to Brendam Docks was bumpy. Only take 5 trucks at a time, said Arthur, and go slow and steady. Arthur carefully collected 5 trucks. Then he puffed slowly out of the harbour yard. Thomas looked at all the fish trucks. He didn't want to go slow and steady. He wanted to get his smelly job over with. So Thomas shunted all of the trucks into a long line. And he puffed out of the village.
So, well, Thomas, right about in this story, I think Thomas arrives at the fishing village, and I never really thought about this as a kid, but I find it really interesting how the fish aren't exactly in vans.
Yes.
In salt vans, they're just in open trucks.
Yeah, that is a little something I did put down while rewatching this episode with more mature eyes. It never really occurred to me about how the fish was loaded in, but Looking at it now, that looks very, very unsanitary.
Yeah, I think all of the island has definitely gotten some sort of food poisoning
Yeah, there must
along
have.
those lines.
Yeah, there must have been a lot of complaints from many of the the many fishing distribution centers and the fishing industry in general.
It's interesting because in prior seasons, well, especially before Series 8, we would always see fish trains with, ventilated vans,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
salt wagons,
Yeah,
but
any sort of vans in general.
like the Flying Kipper and the other episode called Fish from Series 4.
Look, to be honest with you, I wouldn't complain as much about the careless dumping of the fish, but I would have liked to see them put actual tarpaulins over the trucks. At least then, it's somewhat secure, not just out in the
Even
open,
then, like,
rotting away.
the fish, yeah, I see what you mean. It's just the fish are like it's like a mountain of just ice, salt, and like raw fish, and you see them like fly out of the trucks later on in the episode. I'm surprised they even managed to like bring it to like A to B, without like
And-
half of the delivery falling out.
Exactly, and I highly doubt anyone's going to go back and collect those fallen fish that's just sitting out on the main line, or
Exactly.
wherever Thomas is pushing these trucks of fish.
But anyway, Thomas arrives at the fishing village, and Arthur is there. And Thomas hates the smell of fish. We know this from like a few seasons ago. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure from Something in the Air.
Yeah, and this is another Thomas-centric episode where he shows his disdain for fish. We have him gone
Yes.
fishing, and then we explored about his dislike for fish from the episode Fish.
Oh
From
yeah,
series
and also
4.
Something Fishy, where he literally falls off a key. So I think
Yes.
Thomas would have a bit of trauma from fish.
Yeah, he has a large history with fish.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
something I'd like to say that this episode is the return of Arthur, the big tank engine.
My boy, I love Arthur.
Uh,
And he looks really good as well, might I add. He's got a new coat of paint from what it looks like. It's a deeper maroon.
he looks shiny. Is that I can
He looks
say?
really nice. Yes. And he tells Thomas to go slow because the line from the fishing village to Brendam docks can be bumpy. But Thomas does not heed his advice and takes all of the trucks in one go.
It just bothers me with the amount that each engine is taking. I know Arthur
Yeah.
says to only take 5 trucks at a time, correct? But he's a big tank engine. Surely he can take more than 5 trucks. I mean,
Exactly.
it would have been different if he were to tell Thomas to only take 5 trucks, and for him
Yeah,
to take
'cause Thomas
more
is really
than 5.
small.
Yeah, and Arthur's really big.
But how many trucks does he even pull? It's like 8 or 9, right?
Thomas pushes, from what I've counted, 15 trucks.
Wow.
Yes.
That's quite a lot in TV series terms.
That is a lot in 3 trips from the fishing village to Brendam if Thomas did the job correctly.
But he didn't.
No,
So Thomas is oh, sorry.
No, you're right. I only
Thomas. Oh, this is all gonna get cut out, I imagine.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say what I want to say right now.
Okay, sorry.
It's something that also did bother me is this is pretty much a whole Series 8 whole it hit era thing, but no brake vans whatsoever on every goods train that I
Yep.
see. Yeah,
Thomas is pushing,
And
and like even if he is pushing, he should still have a brake van.
and it still astounds me that they are pushing trucks. Shouldn't they be at the front of the train so they can see ahead?
Yeah, that's very silly. But then again, there's been sillier things.
It wouldn't be the island of Sodor without any sort of breakages of rules and regulations.
Yes, copious amounts of crashes.
Exactly.
Okay. So Thomas pushes the fish train, and the trucks are being a nuisance. But instead of the classic Mike O'Donnell and Junie Campbell truck laugh, we have this really kind of odd laugh from, I imagine, Michelangelo's, and it doesn't sound good.
Well, I kind of think it does fit in the terms of this episode.
Yeah.
Sure, it's a far
fair
cry
enough.
from the classic Troublesome Trucks laughter we're so used to, but I like to say it is a bit of an improvement.
It's silly. I mean, it suits the one truck that they focus on, where it's kind of like he's got the sort of half-closed eyes. He's looking a bit mischievous.
Yeah.
But it always thought it was really silly as a kid. But the trucks are causing a lot of trouble for Thomas, and he's going down a hill, which I think it's Gordon's Hill. I could be wrong, but then again...
Well, if it's on his way to Brendam Docks, he should be going over Gordon's Hill.
Yeah, bit weird. But Thomas is starting to lose control of his trucks. The trucks are having a go with Thomas.
True railway fashion, there always has to be a runaway.
And Salty is at the end. He's at a set of points.
Why is Salty somewhere out on the main line and not at Brendam Docks?
I think. I mean, Thomas is going down the route to Brendam Docks. I imagine Salty was on his way back as well.
Ah, true. And probably a writer's thing to have someone who actually likes fish be at the bottom.
Exactly. And it's good to see Salty again. I like Salty. He's a fun character.
I love Salty too.
But Thomas is out of control. The trucks are pushing down the hill. Before there was a shot of some fish being flung at Thomas's face. I thought that was always a really funny shot.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be very comfortable. Slimy, I reckon.
Yeah, and Thomas gets really slimy throughout the episode.
I noticed that. I noticed.
Yeah, he's covered in like salt and ice and like slimy fish oil, whatever it is, and it looks really good. And I always thought the fish looks really real, despite being miniatures.
Yeah. I love that. I love that attention to detail with the fish and with the miniature fish and the.
Yeah, as a kid, I wanted to eat the fish, the miniature fish.
Oh man, like if you have a good idea of like how big those miniature fish are, I guess it's I guess you can lift it up with
like
two
gummy
fingers.
fish.
It's like gummy fish, yes.
Yeah, you can have a handful of them. I don't know why I'm talking about eating the fish from this episode, but I don't know. It's a weird thing I just thought about as a kid.
Yes. So Thomas is approaching Salty from behind.
Yes, and he's going faster and faster, and
he puts on his brakes, and as hard as he could. But the fish trucks were too heavy.
Kaboom!
And
he crashes into the back of Salty.
Yep. I don't know if you noticed this, Mark, but there's a very famous truck that was on the very front of the train.
He's got Bulstrode's face. The barge from Series 4.
Which a lot of people like to refer to this truck as Bullstruck.
Bullstruck. Yeah.
And
it's his surprise face too.
I think it's the most appropriate looking face.
I'd like to mention that Bullstruck has not appeared in... While he appeared in this episode, strangely enough, he also appeared in the Green Controller, which I think is from Series 10, in a single shot.
So he survives being crashed into the back of Salty.
Yes, he magically gains Toad's face, his clenched face, as well as when he crashes into the back of Salty.
Fully summons the spirit of Toad in the very last second, clinching.
He has multiple personalities. But it's an awesome crash. I really like the crash.
It's very explosive.
It's visceral, and like the fish flies everywhere, and then Tom is like, "Oops, sorry."
Never mind me, Hearty. The smell of the fish reminds me of the sea.
I love that Salty isn't even angry. He's just really happy.
He doesn't mind.
It's a cute little bit. I always like that line of dialogue. And he's just covered in fish.
He just doesn't mind. He's from the docks. He's probably had a couple of fish crates fall on him. It's just part of his job.
The Fat Controller drives up and tells Thomas off, and Harvey clears the mess. They really like using Harvey in this season, I've noticed.
They've used Harvey a lot in this season.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I guess.
And he'll also be in the next episode.
Yes, he will be. But we'll get to that.
We'll
get to that later on. But we're still focusing on this episode.
Yes. But that's a story for another day. So Thomas actually heeds Arthur's advice and takes the trucks one by one. And I have a
five.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he takes the trucks. He heeds Arthur's advice and takes 5 trucks at a time all the way to Brendam Docks.
Yes.
And at this time, he's facing forward. He's pulling the train.
That's probably what he should have done at the start. But
it's what he should have done in the first place. Heck,
I have a criticism with this episode, if you don't mind. I think having the crash right in the middle of the episode, as a kid, to me, it's like, okay, wow, this is awesome crash, and then the rest of the episode is kind of just take it or leave it. Thomas just going back and forth. That never really interested me as a kid.
Yeah, there was a bit of a tone shift somewhere in the middle there, I do admit, and then it all ends up in the light-hearted ending of, I know you don't like the smell of fish, but you have been useful, really useful. And then the episode ends with a light-hearted jab of being clean, especially after being touched with fish.
I absolutely love, there's this sort of recurring theme, well, not even theme in here, it's like a visual thing that I always keep seeing. The engines are always getting scrubbed down, and they're always covered in Southern soap, and it's really adorable. I think it's really cute.
It's like
a pet.
It's like a pet. You're just giving your dog it's a weekly bath.
It's I don't know exactly if that actually happened in real rallies where they were just covered in soap, but it suits the tone of the hit era.
Yeah,
it's a really cute thing, and it's good to see Thomas, Arthur, and Salty all together just being chums.
Yeah, I think this episode would have taken a different turn if, say,
no pun intended.
that is, I didn't mean to go. I didn't mean to go into that pun, honestly. I think
it reminds me of that one line where it's like what was it? His cabin smelled. Wait, no, it was his coupling smelled of kipper, and his cabin was filled with cod, or something like that. And I liked that alliteration.
I love cabin or cab. Okay.
Yeah, it said cabin for some reason.
I guess it's still.
From what I remember.
I mean, it is. Cab is just a shorter word for cabin. I assume that, but
Definitely.
But doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think what this episode could have done, right, is that even though Thomas was given this job that he didn't want to do, right, but if Arthur were to say, Thomas, you have to take 5 trucks at a time, but he's pulling more than 5, this would make Thomas a bit more agitated, saying that this engine's undermining my strength. So not only do I want to prove Arthur wrong by taking more trucks, I'll also get this job done and over with.
I see what you mean. I feel like Thomas and Arthur, there's a lot of untapped potential, because I always saw their dynamic as a big brother, little brother kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, most of Arthur's interactions during season 7 was surrounded with Thomas.
Exactly, and Arthur's the clean boy. He always does his jobs. He always knows best, and I think Thomas would have a bit of resentment towards him. He probably thinks he's a bit of a square.
Well, Arthur...
But they do care about each other.
They do care about each other because that is what Thomas and Friends is all about.
I mean, it wouldn't be called Thomas and Friends if Thomas didn't have any friends.
No, I wouldn't think so either.
Okay, so ratings. Jack, what would you give Fish from Series 8.
I have very fond memories of watching Fish. It was a part of a DVD collection that I had as a kid. Peep Peep Hooray.
I think I'm. Oh, I had that one too. That's how I found out about that episode.
Yeah, that's basically all of season 8 there until I had
all the ones that actually mattered.
All the ones that actually mattered, yes. The things I did like about Fish is that I love the return of Arthur, even though this is his last appearance until season 12 or the Great Discovery. Which one comes first?
Yes. He's one of my favorite characters, so it was very good to see him again.
It's nice to see the fishing village again.
Another great set.
Another great set. Something that we haven't seen since Series 7 episode. Well, the episode of Gordon and Spencer. Yes.
Oh yeah, I think it doesn't look nearly as good as how it did in Series 5 and 7, but
it's more
still.
It's more brighter, I would say.
Yeah, it's a bit. It's not as lively in Series 8 because we only see it from a few different angles.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just Arthur and the fishing village, two great aspects of the show that I wish we'd get to see more of, I suppose.
Yes. I think the music score was done right. I did like.
I love the motif that plays when Thomas arrives at the fishing village.
You have like the brass horns, to represent the smelly fish.
Yeah, it's like that sound effect you hear in cartoons, like.
The ship horn, that represent the stinky, yes. And I think cinematography was very creative in this episode, in terms of the runaway sequence.
I do think, that being said, the fisheye lens, no pun intended once again, is a really horrible shot, and it's always used, like, from this season to, like, I don't know, Calling All Engines. It's kind of really not nice. It's got this horrible blue tinge. It's not the best looking angle.
I'll give you some trivia. As someone who is in film school, the fisheye lens is a very rare lens that most cinematographers use.
Right.
And we rarely use them because they're just so rare and very expensive that there's very limited stock of fisheye lenses, apparently, from what I was been told or taught.
Okay.
Yeah, but
they must have really liked it because they kept using it a lot.
I just don't know why.
Yeah, the transition from film to digital was very jarring.
I don't think it worked in the context of this episode. It didn't work in the context of this episode, if I'm completely honest with you.
I think it kind of works, seeing that it's sort of like an episode where it's all about like just smelly fish.
Okay, so
I guess it works.
So basically, what I'm getting from you is that they use the fisheye lens just for the entire joke of this episode.
Basically, that's the bottom line. But what would you give it out of 10, Jack?
I think I would give it 7 out of 10.
I'm giving it. I'm split between a 5 or a 6, so I think I'm going to settle on a 6. Because as a kid, I really liked it. Again, I watched it on that DVD that you had as well, with Halloween and Chickens to School. And it was a favorite of mine. I really liked just the music and everything, and just the crash. But now that I look back at it, the open fish trucks, the fisheye lens, there's just certain things about this episode that kind of, I don't know, it's your average Series 8 kind of deal, where there's a lot of good things, but then it's also weighed down by the bad. But that being said, in this situation, I feel like the good outweighs the bad, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. And would you believe that this episode didn't use the 3-strike formula?
No, not at all, which is really interesting. I feel like that's more of a... Oh, well, no, it's used a bit in Series 8, but it gets way more prevalent as the series goes on. Okay, so now we're going to be talking about Emily's Adventure, which was also written by Paul Larson. So, in this episode, there is a storm on the island of Sodor.
But that night, there was a big and blustery storm. High winds swept across the island. Trees were blown down. A water tower fell over. the roof blew right off Farmer McColl's barn. Emily was very pleased to be safe and warm in her cosy shed. She could hear the wind outside.
So before we continue, I think it's interesting how in this episode they did calling all engines before calling all engines.
That is true. Like, one of the footage used in Emily's Adventure was reused for Calling Adventure. For calling all
I didn't even
calling,
know that.
For calling
That is
all engines, I
crazy.
meant, yeah.
Calling Adventure.
Slip of the tongue.
But I love how the crew does the storm scenes. They're always really convincing and really like I can imagine a child getting very scared by that.
Yes. Unfortunately, a child will be very scared once they see calling all engines. If they manage, yeah.
I love the shot of the water tower falling on the line and the water splashing all over the tracks. That's awesome.
Okay, but we're not reviewing Calling All Engines. We're reviewing Emily's.
Oh no!
Adventure.
No, that was also in Emily's Adventure. The water tower.
I take back what I said.
You better watch yourself.
I look. I have a lot of things to say, and I think I'll be watching what I would say. A lot.
Exactly.
Mm.
But basically, Emily's in Knapford Sheds, which is a really fun set. I always liked Knapford Sheds. The new one, not the turntable.
A very
on Series
unique,
1.
a row engine shed, which is pretty nice.
It looks very prototypical to something you'd actually see for British Rail in like the 50s or something.
Yes.
But she's just cozy in her shed. Her doors are closed. There's like all of the carnage is happening outside.
Queen,
she's just smiling
queen
in
of the
content.
castle, if we say queen of the castle.
Girl
Yes.
boss gatekeep.
Oh, all right.
She wakes up to find
Pure
a lot of
destruction.
wreckage.
Pure
yes, just
destruction.
absolute chaos.
Pure destruction.
A lot like calling all engines, which I'll keep calling back to. Not
And
entirely.
it will never be the end of it.
No.
No.
But I love the shot of her looking out to see like just the breakdown crane and everything across the line. It's just and there's like some tar tankers and milk tankers on the line just derailed too, which is
It must have been a
crazy.
very fierce storm.
yes.
Yes. Unless you want to count this episode as part of Calling All Engines, like a secret
Ooh,
story.
like it's in the timeline.
It's
of that
in
film.
within
that
the
would actually be
timeline,
very
yes.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's off screen.
Yeah, I highly doubt it though.
But Farmer McColl needs new wood for the roof of his barn, which has been destroyed during the storm. The Fat Controller comes to tell Emily this, and there's a close-up shot of the Fat Controller's face, and it looks like he's had a stroke because one of his eyes is lower on one side of his face.
I think
It's
it
kind
was,
of really
I think
odd.
it was- Yeah, I think there was a mistake in terms of digital editing, I think.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it right now. It looks like the sad face was like sort of edited on in post. It's really odd.
Maybe one of his eyes fell off during shooting.
I mean, it's painted on, so I don't know.
So yes, the Fat Controller has given Emily a job to collect timber from the sawmill and take it to Farmer McColl's farm so he can mend the roof of his barn so his calves can be warm at night.
Exactly. Emily's puffing down the line, and we see our good old friend Trevor, the traction engine.
Our good friend Trevor, who we have not seen since Series 7.
Wow.
Or
That's,
oh wait, never mind. I forgot. He did appear a couple of times during the season. Never mind. Cut that out. Don't let my mistakes be
it's
aired
alright.
like this.
No, everything will be probably edited and
Just
put together very professionally.
Just go again.
But Trevor is moving a big log that is bigger than him, from what it seems. And something I really like that Trevor's been kept in his Series 3 condition. Like, all of the models are now, like, really, like, matte paint. But Trevor's still really glossy and pretty looking. But Emily is being... In this episode, how do I put this lightly? She's being
impatient,
a monumental
bossy.
prat. yeah, all of those describing words. She is being really horrible to every just character, vehicle or not. And she tells Trevor to hurry up.
Well, that's not really fair because Trevor's doing his very best. I mean,
Yeah, he's
there's
trying.
there's
He's
no
trying.
there's no one to help him. He's doing it all by himself.
Exactly. It's not fair on him at all. And Emily blows her whistle, but it's not actually her whistle, it's Henry's from what I heard.
Yeah.
This happens a lot in the episode for some reason.
And even as Trevor did take the log off the rails, she didn't even have the common decency to say thank you.
She was like, about time, or something along those lines.
But that attitude, you should have given this episode to James.
Yeah, true. I kind of hate what they've done with Ellamy?
Ellamy? Emmeline?
Ellamy, the Emerald engine.
Oh no!
I don't like what they've done with Emily in Series 8.
I'll be completely straight with you. I am not a fan of bossy Emily.
See, I'm an Emily enjoyer. I like Emily.
I'm an Emily fan.
I love how
yes.
she looks. Exactly, yeah. And it's really hard to defend a character who's always portrayed as such a horrible individual in a lot of her seasons. I don't know what they were trying to do. I think she could have been interchangeable with any other pompous character.
For an engine who is supposed to represent female representation into the new Thomas series, I don't think giving her a bossy attitude was really the right decision on the writer's part and the.
Yeah, I think they just want to make her whatever she needs to be for this story, and I think that's just not the best kind of way to write things.
I guess you could. She's just like the very bossy grandmother.
I just say she's kind of like a prima donna or like the popular girl in the school. I guess it's because they want her to be like in the posse with the big engines, I suppose. But
yeah, I do see that too.
It's just it does a disservice to her character, I suppose.
No, Series 7 Emily all the way.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes,
that is the best Emily because she has the bronze buffers as well.
Yes.
I think maybe when her buffers changed, something in a smoke box changed with her. Who knows?
It's like she was given the personality of a cranky old lady that now lives alone and just expects everything to be done just so.
I see what you mean. But she passes by the station where some workmen are, and she leashes at them, which makes the workmen very cross.
Telling them to work harder, work faster, thinking that she's actually encouraging them to, do things faster and well,
she thinks she's the boss.
She thinks she knows what's right. No, really, no.
But then Emily comes across Elizabeth on the line, who is pushing the big sort of water holding area of the water tower, which, as we saw earlier in the episode, had fallen.
Yeah, the water tower drum that contains all the water fell.
Exactly.
On the
yes. Thank you. I didn't have the word, but it's just a funny shot. There's just a funny shot of Elizabeth trying to push it. I don't know. There's something about it that makes me chuckle.
And then she tells Elizabeth to hurry up and get it off the rails. Elizabeth, ideally probably being as stubborn as Emily is, just says, no, not until you...
Not with that attitude.
Not with that attitude, no.
I love... Honestly, I think Elizabeth in this scene has every right to say that because...
Exactly.
She has no chains. She's literally pushing it with her face.
Yeah. I mean, you're stuck up in the shed for years and years, rarely being used, made out of special delivery of collecting special Christmas puddings, and only to end up being diverting down a hill and then crashing to a snowdrift, and now you're forced to push something with your face. Elizabeth has been having a rough life.
Oh yeah, no, she's a queen for everything she's been put through. But
Queen Elizabeth, let's go.
Yes, of course, she is the real Queen Elizabeth.
All right, let's not go that. Let's not go that to that territory.
No, we'll cut that part out. But Thomas comes along, and Emily's frustrated that no one's doing what she wants. And then Thomas tells her, well, maybe if you treat people right and actually say thank you and please, people will listen to you. But the narrator says, but Emily didn't want to be nice, or something like that. And it's just like, does this engine not have any self-awareness? Why? It's just, this episode makes me angry, frankly.
Yeah, this really frustrates me, especially when she does concede, and I quote, she takes deep breaths to say please and thank you, and she is shocked that it worked.
Just like magic. It's like, I don't know, it's a really odd message this episode brings.
What is
like,
it trying to say to its audience?
Be nice to people. I think that's literally it.
That's basic manners 101. And she has
odd.
to take deep breaths to say please and thank you.
Yeah, what happened to her, man?
I want
to know what happened
what
to
happened to our Emily.
But Elizabeth smiles from ear to ear, and she moves the drum, and I think it's really cool because that little prop of like the water tower probably doesn't weigh anything, but with the sound design and the way the footage has been slowed down, it actually gives it a sense of weight, and I really like that. But Elizabeth moves the drum, and Emily makes her way down the line, and she meets Harvey. She says please and thank you. Harvey is moving a branch off the line, and she finally delivers the wood to Farmer McCobb.
With the roof mended, the cows and calves rested softly in the hay, and Farmer McColl thanks Emily for helping him. And Emily now knows that it's nice, that asking nicely is all she has to do to get everyone to do what she wants. If you can hear the sound of the tone of my voice, I just don't like the moral of this story at all.
No, it's just it's there are good things in this episode, like seeing there's a lot of road vehicles that you see a lorry as well. I think you see Butch briefly in one shot, which is very cool.
Yes.
But that is literally the only good thing I like, apart from Emily's Series 8 theme, which I really like as well.
Emily's theme in series, well, the hit era, I mean, is very graceful and elegant.
It's serene.
Not like her character outright.
No.
No.
I feel like her Series 7 theme would actually suit this Emily a lot better.
Yeah. Though, I will have to say that this episode's title is very misleading.
It's not an adventure.
It's not an adventure.
She just stops every 5 seconds and berates people.
Exactly. I think the most appropriate title I could think of for this episode is just Bossy Emily.
I mean, that wouldn't be a bad title, but I don't think
it wouldn't be a bad title. But no. Either
ratings.
I am just thinking of Series 12. Excellent, Emily.
I completely forgot. Is that the one with Murdoch?
Yes, that is the one with Murdoch.
That's literally the only reason why I even remember it, because Murdoch's in it. But we're getting off track.
Yes.
What would you rate this episode, Jack?
This is got to be the most weakest episode of Series 8, I reckon. For me personally.
Wow.
Yes. The only reason I know about this episode's existence is because I have a Emily's Adventure Deluxe pack that comes with along with that has the take along Emily with the angry face and the DVD
and the
Emily's
DVD.
Adventure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we got one good thing out of it, which was that take-along pack.
It was a nice pack.
Yeah, I liked when they did that. I never had any of them as a kid, but I only found out about them when I was 10 or 12 when searching the web. But listen, I'd never seen this episode until now. It's one of those Series 8 episodes that I kind of missed out on as a child. I did watch it maybe once, but
it's more forgettable.
Yeah. Exactly. So,
yes.
Out of 10, what would you give it?
I think I would have to give it 2 out of 10.
I'd give it a 3.5.
I mean, I'm just saying this very lightly. I mean, I like the storm sequence. That was nice.
That was excellent. Yes.
Yes, I did enjoy that. I like seeing all the fan characters. That was my second point.
Fan favorites, yes.
The fan favorites, yes. But yeah, this episode was.
There's not a lot going for this episode.
There's not a lot going for this episode. They could have written Emily much more better than this, I reckon.
Yeah, it's just. I feel like they could have executed sending the message a lot better. It's just a very bare bones episode, and I think it does have the 3-strike formula, or maybe like 3.5, because there's only like 2 sequences in which that actually applies, I suppose.
Yeah, what would you give this rating, Mark?
I'd give it a 3.5.
Oh yes, I've forgotten that you said that. I just been so engrossed in like talking my dislikes about this episode that I've completely
bashing this episode.
Yes.
To high hell. But well, I suppose that is the reviewing segment done for today.
Yep.
2 really interesting episodes. I actually had a lot of fun talking about them and discussing them with you.
It was nice to rewatch them. I will say that, yes.
For me, something old, something new.
Mm-hmm.
Not something borrowed or something blue, but you know.
Who's getting married right now?
All right. Yeah. Now let's I think it's an appropriate time to do some plugs, frankly. Jack, where can people find you on the web, on the World Wide Web?
You can visit me on my YouTube channel by NWR598, and you can also visit me on Twitter. And I'm posting a lot of behind-the-scenes photos of my stuff right now, so come check that out. And Mark,
please watch Jack's stuff. Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
And Mark, where can people find you?
You can find. I mainly use Twitter. Sudrick Mugshot on Twitter. That's at SuddyMuggy. I have a YouTube channel with the same name where I haven't posted anything yet, but subscribe there, I guess. I mainly just post memes and stuff, and I like to draw. I like to write stories, so that's where you can find me.
And I guess we'll regress back into the Shadow Realms once again.
Yes,
and
I'm gonna go back into my damp horrible cave.
Yes, and we'll be summoned again very, very soon.
Yeah, the sunlight is getting to me. I think I need to go back deep into my cave.
But to be honest with you, I'm gonna go back to the temp agency and see what else I can do.
I have embezzled so much company property. It is not even funny.
Yes.
But that's gonna be about it.
Yep.
I've been Mark Cedric Mugshot.
And I've been Jack, NWR598.
And we'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Mike O'Donnell, one of the composers of the original Thomas the Tank Engine theme, and I'm here to tell you that I have released a selection of re-recorded themes and songs from the classic shows in a series of albums called The Engine Themes. These albums include a variety of classic themes and songs from the original TV series, as well as a few new compositions. You can purchase these albums on CD or digital download, as well as posters and pin badges. Have a look online at modmusic.co.uk. And for a special offer for Right On Track listeners, you can use the special code ROT20 for a 20% discount on all digital downloads. Be sure to enter the code when making your purchase. Thank you for your support and happy listening. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, Jack and Mark. Next up, you will be hearing an audio story from my archive. This is Rusty and the Twins. Rusty and the Twins. Rusty the Little Diesel was always kept busy on the narrow gauge railway, doing numerous jobs from track inspection to pulling freight. Today he was on his way to the wharf, where the narrow gauge tracks met up with the North Western Railway's standard gauge line. "We'll have to be careful today," his driver forewarned. Bill and Ben are working at the wharf too. What are they doing there? Turns out work at the clay pits has been deemed unsafe until further notice, so the Fat Controller is making use of them elsewhere. Bill had recently returned back to service, and he hadn't seen his brother for some time. "It's been a while, hasn't it?" Ben remarked. "Oh yes, shame we can't bother Timothy. But you know where Timothy isn't, there's always someone else." Rusty tooted his horn as he entered the wharf, and the twins' eyes met as a devilish smile crept up on both their faces. The Little Diesel stopped alongside Bill and Ben, who were parked in adjacent sidings. The wharf manager came out to greet them. "There's a large variety of shipments that need to be dispatched by this afternoon. We're trusting that the three of you will be able to make it happen. Can we rely on you?" "It shouldn't be too hard," gleed Rusty. Bill and Ben, however, were keen to get the better of Rusty. Some of the narrow and standard gauge trucks had to be aligned side by side so that the cranes could move the loads from one line to the next. Bill pulled away the trucks just as the crane was about to release its cargo, and the crates smashed on the rails. Rusty was frustrated. "You mustn't do that. That cargo is needed and can't be wasted." But Bill gave no response as he bolted away to play more tricks. Suddenly, however, Ben was cautious. "Should we really be playing such nasty tricks on Rusty and the trucks?" "What's gotten into you, Ben? Have you softened up while I've been away? Lost your sense of adventure, have you?" Ben was remembering what he had learned from Katie. No, it's just that..." "Just what?" "You don't want to have fun with me anymore. I see how it is." And Bill went off in a huff. As the day continued, Ben mindfully stuck to the rules and put all the trucks in their proper places. Rusty watched thoughtfully. "What's the matter with your brother?" he asked finally. "He's sticking to old habits, but I think I've recently seen that old tricks aren't going to get us anywhere." "I'm glad you've seen sense," sympathised Rusty. "It's all well and good to have a little bit of tomfoolery, but it feels nicer to be congratulated for hard work." Suddenly, Ben had an idea and told Rusty all about it. Bulstrode the barge floated into the wharf, waiting to be loaded up with stone from the quarry. Bill pushed along a line of trucks up towards the end of the siding. Bulstrode gave the trucks a cautionary eye. "Make sure you put those trucks where they should be," he grumbled. "I don't have all day to fossick around with you steamers." "I'm going to take my sweet time and you're going to have to sit there until I'm ready." Bulstrode fumed. Rusty rolled up alongside Bill. "Good news. The wharf manager is so impressed with your work that he's asked me and Ben to take up other responsibilities elsewhere on the island." Bill jumped. "What? Why would they make such a decision?" "There's plenty of other places that we can be useful, so we both reckon that you're more than capable here." And with that, Ben and Rusty left the wharf. "Now for phase 2, whispered Ben. Bill suddenly felt an immense sense of pressure fall onto him. He huffed to and fro across the yard trying to get everything in place where it should be. He was so caught up that he forgot all about Bulstrode. A loud horn suddenly echoed the yard, filling the wharf. Bill recognised it immediately. The looming presence of a large diesel drifted into the yard and up to Bill, who quaked at who he saw. "And where might my trucks be, Bill?"
They'll be right there very soon.
"Soon is too bad. These trucks need to be at the docks before sundown, and I can't be kept waiting."
I'll get to it straight away, Boko.
But before Bill could do anything else, a long line of trucks was buffered up behind Boko the Diesel by Ben, who was ready and waiting. "Thank you, Ben," chimed Boko, and he hummed happily away.
Thank you for saving me there. That's alright, but that's the last time I'm doing you any favours.
"He's right," remarked Rusty. "We've been hot on our wheels and you've done nothing all day. If we work together to get everything done, then we'll have the work complete before you know it." So for the rest of the afternoon, Bill worked hard to keep up appearances and soon sent everybody on their way. "Thank you, Bill," said Bulstrode as he departed the wharf with the load full of stone. The work was soon complete, and all three engines were quite giddy from exhaustion. "You've made remarkable time," he explained. "Your efforts are much appreciated."
I wonder where we'll be sent to work next, thought Bill. The clay pits aren't due to open for some time. Perhaps we'll be sent to help out Mavis at the Norfolk quarry, suggested Ben. I'm quite happy to be returning to my usual inspection duties, said Rusty happily. While they had been speaking, the telephone had rung from the wharf manager's office. He came back outside to address the twins. That was the Fact Controller. He says that there's trouble in the sheds, and the big engines are refusing to shunt their own trains. Can you head to Knapford immediately? The twins looked at each other. Come on, Ben, said Bill. Let's show those big engines what we're really made of. I hope you enjoyed that audio story featuring Rusty, Bill, Ben, and a myriad of other characters. Next up, we'll be having our musical interlude, this week from Carson Ronker and Thailand Girl.
Strange fascination of the big city life. The same old storyline you read any night. The heartbreak journey, the train overnight. But Island Girl, this time it's too late. Your mama worried, she cried on the phone. You left, don't worry now, I'll get along. Oh, yesterday's picture proved you were wrong. Island girl, where did you go wrong? They'll pick you up now, Island girl. Little bit late, girl, and oh, why the step? Back to your hometown, Island girl. Old dark churchyard, high on a hill. Oh,
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Model Train Corner. So, today we're looking at another special locomotive, but this one isn't what you would think it is. It's not Thomas the Tank Engine, it's not Flying Scotsman, it's not Rocket, but this is a movie star from a very important, I guess, movie series, which is based on a book series. And here with me I have a fan of this series, my girlfriend Courtney. Say hi.
Hi everyone.
Courtney, what are we looking at today?
Today we are looking at the Hogwarts Castle and the coaches as well, which is pretty interesting given the fact I've never actually seen this model like this before right in front of my eyes.
And what series is it from?
It's from Harry Potter.
This is the locomotive you will see in the movies, because I'm pretty sure the locomotive in the books is completely different, but we'll get onto that. If you would like to take us through the history of the locomotive and the express.
Yes, so the Hogwarts Express was the name of the train that ran between London's King's Cross Station, platform 9 3/4, and Hogsmeade Station. It made this run about 6 times a year, maybe even more, as it was needed. It also made the run back again to London at the end of the term of the year, so in June. The Express carried students of all year levels to and from Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. It travelled at the start and end of every term. It is the school's primary method of travel. The train left platform 9 3/4 without fail every 1st of September at 11 o'clock in the morning, arriving at Hogsmeade Station in the early evening. Some students took the train back to King's Cross Station to go home for Christmas and Easter holidays, but some did not, as they stayed at Hogwarts. So some early history within about the Hogwarts Castle.
Within the actual wizarding world.
Yeah, exactly. Some rode broomsticks as a difficult feat when carrying trunks and pets.
Imagine that, like you're riding from basically London to I think Hogwarts Castle, like the actual school's in Scotland, isn't it?
Yes.
So imagine riding from there on a broomstick from London all the way up to Scotland with your suitcases and your pet on a broomstick.
It would be horrible. Well, at least if you had an owl, it would just fly there. Because,
it could fly for you, but I'm pretty sure, didn't Harry take Hedwig in a cage anyway?
Well, he has never been to Hogwarts before, remember? He would know.
Yeah, of course.
So some other forms of transport was enchanted carts. Later they had carriages. Some attempted to...
These are horse-drawn carriages, by the way.
Or, they might not even be like that. Some of them were like enchanted creatures. So only like some people would only be able to see this creature unless they've seen death, which is pretty sad, but yeah.
Right. I think that's a whole other thing in itself. That's something that even I don't even know.
Yeah. As the castle and the gates had always been protected by certain types of charms, others rode at very many different like magical creatures, so like hippogriffs or griffins, or some even I don't even know.
Just any sort of magical creature that
they can fly.
If it could get you somewhere, they could use it.
Exactly. So in 1827, Lachlan Gamble.
Hang on. Start that again.
Okay.
Just so you can redo that. Fred, edit this out.
Okay. In 1827, Lachlan Gamble rose to the office at the Ministry of Magic, and she made a daring and controversial suggestion to solve the age-old problem of how to transport hundreds of students to and from Hogwarts Castle every school year without attracting a Muggle's attention.
Right.
So intrigued by the Muggle technology, the minister saw the potential of using a Muggle steam locomotive as a secure and comfortable alternative to port keys.
As a secure and comfortable secure and comfortable alternative. Yeah. Okay.
I'll
Do that again.
That all again. So, intrigued by Muggle technology, the minister saw the potential of using a Muggle steam locomotive as a secure, comfortable alternative to port keys or any unregulated means of travel. So port keys is basically when you go into a fireplace, you get some dust, and then you have to say the location where you want to go, and you drop it down into the fireplace, and then you get sent off somewhere.
We see that in the movie, don't we?
Yeah, so there has been times, so in the second film of Chamber of Secrets, so the Weasley family as well as Harry, they have to go into the fireplace to get to Diagon Alley to go in for the start of the school year getting books and everything. Harry unfortunately says the wrong line, so he gets sent to the darker side of Diagon Alley.
Right.
So the actual name of it is Nocturne Alley. So he went down that way, and then luckily for him, Hagrid helps him and saves the day.
You're a wizard, Harry.
He sure does say that. So the locomotive of the Hogwarts Express itself was originally built by the Muggles engineer of Crewe in Cheshire, England.
We're going to get to this in a moment. But continue. I'm sorry.
In the early to mid 19th century. In 1980.
In 1830.
Yeah, I know. I can read.
Okay, edit that out.
In 1830, the Minister of Magic conducted a large-scale operation including 167 memory charms, as well as the biggest concealment charm ever performed in Britain in order to acquire the locomotive. The morning after this operation, the residents of Hogsmeade awoke to find the gleaming red Hogwarts Express at Hogsmeade's railway station that had not been there previously, and the Muggle railway employees of Crewe.
So,
Aye, aye, Captain.
Just go back.
Okay. The morning after this operation, the residents of Hogsmeade awoke to find the gleaming red Hogwarts Express at the Hogsmeade railway station that had not been there previously. And the Muggle railway employees
in Crewe.
Oh my god, I'm not going to be able to say that
just,
right.
Just go from and the Muggle railways and the Muggle railway employees in Crewe. Crewe. Arr, aye, aye, Crewe.
Oh, okay. A partner crew, righto.
Yeah, exactly.
Crew, not crow. And the Muggle railway employees in Crewe had the feeling they had misplaced something, which stayed with them for the rest of the years. So, going back to the charms, what they did was the people that had the magic, so the wizards and stuff and witches, they would put those spells onto the castle, which made them move. So making it all enchanted so that muggles wouldn't be able to see the train actually moving.
Right, okay. I'll get to this in a moment, but this is a question I've always had. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
We'll get to the good juicy stuff later.
Yeah.
There was initial resistance from the pureblood families, so those who had family that were originally wizards. So, for an example, Harry was not a pureblood, so his father was, however, his mother wasn't, since she was from a Muggle family. So
Hermione's also not a pureblood, is she?
Yes, she's a Muggle-born.
Muggle-born? What does that mean?
So Muggle, so non-magical person. So her parents are actually not witches or wizards.
Right, okay.
So, for example, you and I, we are Muggles.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
So they were actually originally against the building of this transportation. Their families claimed that the express was unsafe and deeming upon the wizarding world. This was the stance until the ministry decreed that students would arrive to school on the train or not attend at all. There is no information on where exactly Hogwarts students were travelling from during the period after they acquired of the Hogwarts Express and the creations of Hogsmeade Station, and before the opening of King's Cross Station and the platform 9 3/4 in 1850s.
Okay, so J.K. Rowling obviously was not a train enthusiast. We know this. She writes about wizards and witches and things like that. So there is a lot wrong with this. So I'm going to be reading off the same fandom Wikipedia article in the trivia section. So, because the engine is portrayed by a Great Western Railway Hall class, its original paintwork was Brunswick green and not crimson red. The unusual paint job on the engine has sparked much controversy amongst railway enthusiasts. Railway enthusiasts are some of the hardest people to please. If you get one thing wrong, they'll point it out and be like, no, that's wrong. Like just recently, a friend told me that there was a locomotive restored at the Mornington Railway down in Melbourne. So in Victoria we have diesels that are usually painted in blue and gold. And this diesel was restored and it was painted just a little bit too dark, and that caused so much controversy.
Whoa. I wouldn't have thought if you get one bit off it would be so much controversy.
They're incredibly hard to please. So like this was like a little bit darker than what it should have been, and they were like, no, it's wrong, do it again.
Wow, I've got a lot of more learning to do here.
So to promote J.K. Rowling's... oh no, we can skip over that. Interestingly, the Hogwarts Express conductor at Wizarding World of Harry Potter once claimed that the train was a Great Western Railway 5900 class, which they don't exist, and was built in 1936 when the real locomotive was actually a Great Western Railway 4900 class. And was actually built in April 1937. So completely undoing J.K. Rowling's history, saying that it was built in the mid-19th century.
Yeah, again, she's not a train enthusiast, she's just making some things...
We get this.
Yeah.
It is possible, however, that these details were intentionally changed to differentiate Hogwarts Castle from the real engine that portrays it. Information from Pottermore points to it being rather erroneously acquired by the Ministry about a century earlier in the term of Minister Ottoline Gamble, who was in office from 1827 to 1835. So she wouldn't have even seen this locomotive. If we apply the Wizarding World to the real world, she would not have even ever seen this exact locomotive until 100 years later.
But remember, it is magic.
It's just magic. Just explain it away with magic.
Exactly.
However, this is problematic as the locomotive design seen in the films was not developed until the 1930s. See? There you go. However, since several real-life locomotives such as the NWR598 Flying Scotsman were named after famous express services, it is possible that the locomotive received similar treatment, and perhaps the train itself had been hauled by another engine prior to its construction. I subscribe to that theory, that there might have been a train or a locomotive before this one. That works a lot better. So
I can agree with that, yeah.
What I think is, after reading that, what I think now is, so in some of the Harry Potter books they have an illustration of the actual locomotive. And for some reason they have the locomotive connected straight to the coaches and there's no tender, which that can easily be explained away. Oh, it runs on magic. That might have been the engine before, the engine before this one, this Great Western locomotive.
Exactly.
But then, doesn't Harry Potter take place in the 90s?
So, the movies-wise, they, I believe it was 1998 the first film came out, but J.K. Rowling, I think, started writing them in 1991.
But when when does Harry Potter take place?
I believe it's the 80s.
Oh, okay.
I believe.
So that still kind of works, but this is the locomotive you would have seen then, because it would have still been... I mean, it's still preserved. The real thing is in... so Alton Hall, which is the one that Hogwarts Castle is based on, is in the National Railway Museum currently. Another discrepancy that J.K. Rowling made an error in the year the Hogwarts Express was acquired, as Crew Works did not open until 1840, so only a few years after Hogwarts Castle was supposedly built. Erroneously, many believe the name of Hogwarts Express applies to the locomotive, the engine. Many believe the name Hogwarts Express applies to the locomotive. The engine is really named Hogwarts Castle in the films. Hogwarts Express applies to only to the express service itself and not the locomotive. So the trainer pulls.
Okay.
The trainer pulls is Hogwarts Express. The locomotive itself is called Hogwarts Castle. Another interesting thing as well is that this is based on a whole class. So it's really weird with Great Western Railway because all of their engines look pretty much the same. So it's called Hogwarts Castle, but it's not a castle class locomotive. It's actually a whole class locomotive.
Right.
So it's a 4900. Great Western Railway is so weird, and it's the reason why I haven't bothered learning about them because all their engines are just the same. So
maybe you should start learning about
maybe
it.
I shouldn't I? So 4900 refers to the locomotive itself, but then they just give them names anyway, like Hall class, Star class, King class, Castle class, stuff like that.
Do they have a Jack class?
No, they don't have a Jack class, I don't believe.
I thought they'd be going off like the cards because you said King and Queen class.
Oh, true. They should have had an ace and a clubs and a diamonds and a hearts class. That would have been cool, actually. So enough about the real thing, and in the movies we have the actual Hornby. Excuse me. We have the actual Hornby model here, which is the most recent one, which I think came out in 2020, so a little while ago now. We went
a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I think because we had a whole lot of promotion stuff for the 20th. Is it 20th anniversary?
20th anniversary of the first film.
That which was it was last year, wasn't it?
Last year, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and the books were the year before. No, the books would have been like years ago now. The books would be about 30 years old.
Its first book came out in 1991.
So, okay, so this would have been promotional stuff for
the movie, yeah.
Right. Well, which makes sense because this is what you see in the movie. So, yes, a whole class, painted in red, as we mentioned before.
In crimson.
In crimson red, that's correct, which is unusual for a Great Western Railway class. No, which is unusual for a Great Western Railway locomotive. What else can you tell us about this, Courtney?
Well, at the front there is the label or like signage of the Hogwarts Express, and on top there's a little
it's got the little like
crest,
the actual
like the little crest of like the Hogwarts crest. So one corner would have Gryffindor, the other corner would have Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and then Slytherin. So those are the names of the houses. On the front there is a little light lantern.
Yep, a lamp.
Yeah, lamp.
Same thing.
Yeah. So from running it at Lachlan's Railway Club, when the light turns on when it's on the track. The only thing that I'm not exactly liking about this one is that it's an LED blue light.
Yep.
Where, to me, I would believe it would be more like a yellow colour since it's supposed to be like an ancient train. That's on the side. It has the Hogwarts Castle on the second wheel in the middle. It's in gold.
The name. Oh, yeah.
The nameplate, I believe it's called.
Yeah, nameplate. That's it.
And then on the back, on the buffer, on the tender. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm using my terminology. I'm getting there. It has the Hogwarts Railway on it, but in the middle of the two words, it has again the crest of the Hogwarts crest.
The whole,
Yeah.
I think it's a coat of arms. Do they call
Yeah,
it a coat of arms?
I reckon it's called the coat of arms,
Yeah.
but I'm not 100% sure.
So yeah, thank you, Courtney. So basically, this is the only. Now that I realise, it's the only Great Western locomotive I have. So it's got a lot of unusual.
Well, you can start your collection now.
Maybe not. Again, like I said, they're all the same. So I've got this one. I've basically got all of them.
No, but this one's special. It's Hogwarts.
For any Great Western fans out there, I am not sorry. What else is there to really say about this? Well,
It has the number plate.
yeah, it's got the number. It's 5972, which I believe is the same thing in the movie. I think another really cool. One of the unfortunate things about this one is that it doesn't have any sprung buffers, but that doesn't really matter. That's more of a cosmetic thing. Some other things I enjoy about it is the copper cap on the funnel. It's not. It would have been cool if it was like electroplated, so you could actually see it shine, like it was like actually reflective. Same with the bonnet. It's just painted in like a bronzy brass color.
Yeah.
The whistles are cool. They've got that sort of guard around them that is typical of Great Western engines.
And they're gold.
And they are also gold. Underneath the tender of this one, it has the water scoop. So what this is,
There's a water scoop in trains.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Listen, this is gonna blow your mind, right?
Okay, I'm ready.
So, trains usually had to stop to fill up on water, right?
Oh yeah, like Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, Thomas stops to fill up on water.
I
But
think.
if you are an express engine going from point A to point B and you have to get there in a particular amount of time without stopping, what they would do is they put these troughs of water in the track. And then what happens is this train comes along and scoops up the water in there, in that scoop, right? And then it goes into this dome bit, which sort of like disperses it, which, like, I don't know, stops it from breaking the top of the tender. And
that
then-
makes sense.
Yeah, and then fills it up, so you don't have to stop.
Yeah, because if they had to stop, they'd be
That
like, they
uses
wouldn't.
time.
And not only that, they would be so late to school. Like, come
They
on.
would be late
That'd
to
be
school.
so late.
I suppose in the case of this locomotive, it doesn't matter because it runs on magic, right?
Exactly. Magic. That's the thing. It may not even use water because, it's magic. It runs
Actually,
on magic.
That reminds me of what I was going to go back to earlier. How the hell does platform 9 3/4 work? So, you have this train. So, hang on, no. Sorry, you have London. In London, there is King's Cross Station. I believe there's 14 platforms, if I remember correctly. You go to platform 9,
Yes.
right? And then you run into the wall. And then you go to platform 9 3/4.
Exactly.
And then this train takes you to Hogwarts.
Yes.
Is Hogwarts in a pocket dimension? So you're following, right?
Yeah, I'm
So
following, yeah.
you go to platform 9,
Yes.
then you go to somewhere where no one else can see the train, right? And then this train takes you to Hogwarts.
Yes.
How in the hell does that work? Okay, better question for you. Correct me if I'm wrong. Harry and Ron missed the train to get to Hogwarts, right? In one of the movies.
Yes.
How the hell did they drive their Ford Anglia, which could fly, from King's Cross without going through the wall to Hogwarts? How the hell did that work?
Well, Mr. Weasley, he works in the ministry, he studies muggles and, he used his magic on that train, not the train, the Ford Anglia,
Anglia.
the same words,
Sort of, yeah.
same thing.
That's not answering.
I haven't finished yet.
Okay.
So he must have used the magic in order for them to get there. They must have known something because if you recall in the film, it's Ginny's first year at Hogwarts. So Arthur and I forgot her name, Molly Weasley, so the mother of Ron, they actually get trapped on platform 9 3/4, so they can't actually get back because Ron and Harry missed the train.
Yep.
Anyway, to the point what I'm trying to make.
Yep.
Arthur must have sent a message to Ron saying you need to get to school, use the Ford Anglia. Yeah, angles.
Ford angles. We'll just go
Ford
with
angles.
that. Ford angle.
Ford Angle. And must have communicated to him hey, you need use the Ford Anglia to get to school. But also the car's enchanted, so it must have known where the school was.
Yep.
So it drove them to there. There was a scene where they caught up to the train, but there were two in front of the train, which
I'm going to get back to that in a second.
Okay. You can probably say it now because I'm running out of things to say.
Okay, so this proves my point even more. So you have to go through a magical wall to go see the locomotive, and then the locomotive takes you to Hogwarts, which sort of makes me think that Hogwarts is in a pocket dimension that no one else can see.
But it's in Scotland.
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 But it's never explained.
Are you saying that
No.
Scotland
Hang on.
isn't a portkey?
Hang on. That is implying it gets out of this little pocket dimension somehow. But also, Harry and Ron get in the car, they don't go through the wall, and then they meet up with the train, which is implied that it's still in this pocket dimension, inside platform 9 3/4, inside King's Cross.
Yes.
How is that explained?
To be honest, I haven't done this much research into platform 9 3/4. I just roll with it because I am a muggle, so I'm not a wizard. I don't know this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like there would have been I feel like that I've watched something on YouTube where it explains where it explained it. I think what it was is that the magic of it was that platform 9 3/4 does exist at King's Cross Station, but it's just added on where it's blocked off by a barrier or something like that, so the muggles cannot see because it's enchanted by magic.
Right. So what you're saying is platform 9 3/4 in quotations doesn't exist, right? But they go to platform 9 3/4. It doesn't exist at King's Cross. It exists in its own thing.
So it must be its own thing in order for them to travel to there.
Again, in a pocket dimension. But
it's not
are
a
you
pocket
saying maybe when it gets to somewhere near Hogsmeade, it comes out of that pocket dimension?
I guess so.
Okay. The fandom website didn't do a really good job at explaining that. I think it's something we're going to have to return to next time, maybe when we review maybe the coaches, or when I review the bigger one you got me. That'd be something to come back to.
Maybe. But I reckon if you did want to do some more research, or anyone wants to do more research about...
Please let me know.
Yeah, exactly.
Please let us know.
Or, you could always just research about platform 9 3/4. There's a lot of information on there. You could even go onto the Pottermore website, the Wizarding World website.
That's if it is there.
That's if it's there. But I'm sure it would be there. But I don't know. I feel like from me collecting all the Harry Potter books and everything back like that, coming back to the train itself, in the very first book, the hardcover of the Philosopher's Stone, or if you happen to be an American, it's the Sorcerer's Stone.
The Sorcerer's Stone.
There has been some later editions for the 20th anniversary where they have a photo of the train itself.
Right.
And what it would look like.
Yeah.
Which is actually quite interesting. It doesn't look like this at all.
Are you talking about the illustrations in the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks very different. It's got a dragon on its funnel. I'm pretty sure.
Maybe. I can't remember. It's been too long.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to reread the books again.
So, I think we should probably wrap it up here now. So, if you have any information on this whole pocket dimension theory, please reach out to me. Twitter, at Lachlan's Double O Rails. Instagram, I think it's the same thing, Lachlan's Double O Rails. Or reach out to us on Right On Track via Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or even email us. I'm pretty sure that'll be at the end of the show credits. Someone will tell us about that.
Because I would love to know.
I think we would both like to know.
Yeah.
You'll be the first to know as soon as I find out.
I hope so.
Alright, well, thank you for coming on, Courtney, and thank you for reviewing our very lovely Hogwarts Castle locomotive.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lachlan, and thank you, Courtney, for your reviews on the Hornby Hogwarts Castle. I'm a big fan of Harry Potter. I think the third is my favourite film, and always have loved the books as well. That's it for today on episode 69. Stay tuned for another episode coming very soon. Until then, I've been Denham, and this has been the Right on Track podcast.
You've been listening to Right on Track. This podcast was hosted by Connor Jonas, Tom Parry, Lachlan Kyle, and Tom Denham. The audio producers for this podcast were Jason Evans, Harry Hughes, Ashley DeGroot, and Frederick French Pounce. The supervising producers are Connor Jonas and Tom Parry. The executive producer is Tom Denham. Visit rightontrackpodcast.org for more information plus bonus material, and be sure to follow us on social media. On Facebook at facebook.com/rightontrackthomaspodcast, on Twitter at OnTrackThomas, and Instagram at RightOnTrackPodcast.